So hello everyone. So this is my second podcast and we've got an amazing guest today, Scarlett. Now her list goes on forever, so I'm going to read out a couple before we start.
Does it?
Yeah, exactly, yeah. So, founding director of Harper Fox Partners?
It is, yeah.
Global award winning?
Yeah.
Thank you. Keynote speaker and BBC Apprentice Finalist 2019.
Yeah, 2019.
And now you're Anna Sugar's business partner.
I am, yeah, indeed.
That is
fun
amazing.
Games.
Exactly, yeah.
Fun times.
So, how I want to kind of start the podcast is obviously tell people about kind of your story.
Yeah.
You're doing freaking amazing in business.
Thank you.
Obviously, you're an amazing one because that's your superpower, right?
Thank you.
But I want to know about your backstory before we go on to the business. Are you happy to go there? Let's start then. So let's talk about kind of your childhood and how that was.
You've got me in a position of authenticity here.
I want to know about you, man. Yeah.
So childhood wise, brought up in a super matriarchal family.
Yeah.
An amazing mum.
Yeah.
Phenomenal. They were all brought up in care.
Yeah.
So kind of the elder generation in our family is my mum.
Yeah.
And my auntie, which I realise now is not a normal setup.
So your mum was in the care system?
Yes. Yeah, so they were all brought up in care. So a lot of my family actually were brought up in care.
Yeah.
And fostered. I wasn't. My brother wasn't. I was raised with my two uncles. My mum fostered them as well. And actually a really happy, very secure childhood, inner city Birmingham. There wasn't much, but everybody worked really hard and installed kind of the right values. And I think they did a really good job with us. But there was no dads. Yeah.
And how was that with you? What did that...
Is that something I've been exploring in therapy recently, actually, in a little bit more.
Did your mum have to play both parts?
Yeah, 100%.
Because even what you've just said then, I think your mum's a bit of a superhero because coming from the care system like I know, and to try and change the narrative of your relationship and your upbringing is fucking amazing. So hats off to your mum for doing
100%.
that. Yeah.
I totally agree.
Yeah,
hats off to the madre. Hats off to the madre. My dad's kind of estranged. My dad has actually a completely different life and family, so that's interesting. I'm biracial, so my dad's Kashmiri and my mum's white.
Kashmir, where's that from?
Pakistan.
Okay,
India or Pakistan, there's a debate.
Okay, yeah.
But yeah, and so we kind of have that dynamic. It's a very diverse family as well. Lots of different cultures. That's really exciting. So
amazing kind of food as well.
Yeah, my cousin's half Chinese, my other cousin's black. Like there's a real combination going on.
That is, yeah.
Again, beautiful kind of tapestry of the family. Yeah. But I come to realise now, and I love our family. It's probably not what we would deem as a normal setup, and there's lots of lessons that have been learned along the way. But
what is normal?
Yeah, 100%. Love that. Had that whole kind of dynamic, I guess, growing up. Very very humble beginnings, obviously, and then I moved out of home at 16. Yeah. And I went into supported accommodation.
Why did you leave at 16?
Honestly, I think that I thought I was an adult before I was an adult.
Yeah.
And I think I wanted to live some adult life and go off. And my mum was, probably because she'd been brought up in the care system, she was very cautious of things, and I just kind of rebelled, you know.
Yeah, okay, got you. Yeah.
And I think that's what happened. So off I went. Smashed her window. Sorry, Mum. Smashed her window. And then that was it. Off I was. And actually, I had a fantastic it was interesting, but I really enjoyed that supported accommodation. I'm there mapping out my floor, getting laminate flooring. Doing that around beds, all sorts. I'm obviously absolutely nothing. Couldn't eat. Food banks. Done that whole life and that piece of my life. And I think what I knew very, very
having
quickly.
Nothing.
Yeah, having absolutely. And I mean. Really having nothing. Made some friends in there, obviously around lots of it was very gang related as well. I was used to that anyway, but very much around that, and just knowing that I wanted to not be a statistic and do things differently.
Of course, yeah.
That wasn't the path exactly that I went down.
So obviously the environment that you put yourself in made you realise this isn't what I wanted in
100%.
life. 100%, yeah. So sometimes it's a good thing to put yourself in situations, and especially in an environment. For just to let you know, I obviously lived in the care system, and hostels and halfway houses. My shared accommodation is literally behind this block where I started. So I think it's mad. So there's another podcast what is it, 11, 12 years ago, I was living on the streets.
Yeah, it's
insane. And then also by the back of it, now I'm doing a fucking podcast. It's
you know,
mad.
no, you have these mad 360 moments. We do like a talks for our business, and I can see the block of flats that I used to live in, and then we're recording it from a really like swanky building. We just rent the room, but it's like, and I look at that and I just think this is wild. It's wild, but it's those things that make you, they make your character, they build kind of the foundation, the value system that you have.
100%,
you know, and what you instill then in your children, or what you the way that you shape life and you think about life. And I think I was around that and I saw that, and then I met my children's dad, and that's a significant part, I would say, of the story. It's something I don't ever talk about really, if I'm honest. I think I'm in more of a healed place now, and I feel like a good friend said to me, hey, you know, you got to have you know, you can't have the testimony without the test.
100%,
So I met my children's dad, and
did you meet him in the same environment?
I did. I met him in supported accommodation, and then we kind of quickly.
What was his kind of backstory, if that one me asking? Like,
I mean, I hope he doesn't mind, but yeah, very similar to mine.
Yeah,
very, very similar to mine. Moved out younger, driving very, very young, all of that, and then I went down one route, which was, I'm going to make it in this corporate world,
of course,
somehow.
And
I went down that route, and he went down very much kind of streets, drugs, drug dealing, that route. And then you're navigating a place together, and you're living two different worlds.
It's hard.
It's stressful. It's scary. If I'm really honest now, I think I did it for 12 years, and it's scary. And I think when there's children involved as well, it's a scary life. And as much as people talk about, and I say that now, like, oh, this and the, you know, I don't know, you're listening to that music and you think you're that guy and you're walking, but the reality of that life.
It's a persona as well.
It's a persona, and and it genuinely, when there's children involved and things like that, and you're worried about who's going to come to your house, or the police are the best thing that's going to come to your house. You know, you're living with curtains closed and no one can know where you live, and then you're having to move quickly and all of that stuff. Like, it's actually very traumatic, if I'm honest with you. Yeah,
because it's like you're on the run constantly, in a way. 100%. So how was the environment in the house, obviously, with your partner at the time? And obviously your daughter.
Yeah, so then when I had the children young, so I was pregnant at 19, had my first daughter at 20, my other one at 23. And
come on.
It was challenging sometimes. Beautiful, challenging, both young, control, all of them things. So it's been a journey.
Did you see yourself in the kids in that way?
Did I say that again?
So did you see yourself in the kids, the way they were kind of like, their attitude towards life, their charisma, their personality as they were growing up? Did you see yourself in them at that kind of age?
Yeah, I would say so. I would say so. And then, like, your perspective changes. And then what ultimately happened was I had my youngest daughter, and then our house was raided, as you'd probably expect, and searched and all of that. And then he went to prison, and he went to prison for nearly a decade.
It's a long time.
Yeah, so 2 kind of back-to-back sentences. And then, and you know, and this is something that's not always talked about, but where does that leave everyone else? Because I think there's 100%, and there should be a focus on the person that's gone to prison. And I know everyone will have different viewpoints and think, oh, you know, you did whatever. But you know what, there's a system that can fail. There's lots of opportunities, and there's not much support and mental health support and all that stuff. So I have a lot, I think there's a lot of positives that can come out of a scenario like that. And I think there's a lot that can be done to change that. So it's certain that, but what that leaves then is 2 very young children, me, and then a whole court case and a system that you don't know if you're going to be involved in as well. Somehow, even though you're obviously
and not. They can get involved at any point without your say-so.
100%.
And that's what I hate about the social system in the UK, is they think they have a right to tell you how to bring your kids up when you've done absolutely fine, just because you're around a certain situation or environment. Obviously, your ex-partner was probably pushed into that avenue because it's a male it's an alpha kind of thing to do.
Yeah, and trying to get out, and to be fair, again, trying to get out of a system, you know, and trying to make something of self.
You know,
and you can't always see somebody or people around you or role models that are doing that. And I would say now that feels different, but I would say even up to 10 years ago and that, I don't think that was always the norm.
No, not at all.
And that's why I'm so passionate about it.
You
know, about my children, but actually my lived experience as well, and that role modelling and making opportunities and changing things up and opening doors for everybody.
Because kids are so intelligent. Like, for instance, if your ex-partner had someone or a mentor, however you want to put it, to put his skills into business.
Oh, astute in business.
100%.
Astute
so many
in business.
people that
Honestly,
I know that deal in lot stuff like that. So you know that are friends. I'm like, mate, you could be amazing 100%. In business because you've got that neurological pathway of thinking about things mathematically. And not just that in a business sense. Your business works amazing, mate. Just change the freaking avenue. Yeah.
Just
exactly that.
That project's causing everyone an issue. But you know, that's the reality. That's the reality. And then that relationship broke down for various different reasons, honestly. But it has been like, you know, being real. It's been like a 20-year journey. When you're with someone from like 16, you know, it's like a 20-year journey of really unpacking all of those things. And I think that when you've got 2 children as well on the back of it, and you're going up and down to prisons every week for years, and you're having to explain, because what can you do but start to be super transparent.
Did they let on? Did you see their emotions? Was it a bit like...
They were very young.
Yeah.
And I think that my youngest in particular hasn't really known or didn't know much difference. And my eldest, I think as long as they have a really secure attachment to one parent, which we know psychologically, like, then they're fundamentally in a really good space. And I think because I was very positive about it, not about him being in prison, but about, hey, you know, you're going to, you know, no, that's a bit much. You're going to see Daddy, and you know, I tried to paint in a really positive way. Actually, I think I worry about when they're older. I'm going to be honest with you, you know, especially because I've got daughters.
What are their ages now?
One's about to be 16.
Wow,
and one is 11.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Because you can go 2 ways with that. Obviously, I know some parents that have gone, obviously, if their fella's gone to prison.
Yeah.
My kids ain't going to see you.
We're not. And I respect that.
Yeah.
But for me, I'm extremely passionate about like parental roles and about fatherhood. And I want my children to have that great relationship with their 100%. Father, honestly, like
even
genuinely.
If it is that way,
yeah. And you know, and it's a system that's protected. At the end of the day, the children are protected, but I would be super respectful of everyone's decisions. For me personally, that wasn't an option.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
And I would still make that decision again.
Yeah, no, I believe 100%. If I was in your shoes, I would have done the same thing, because I think it's not. I want to say irresponsible. It will affect your kids.
Yeah, any of it's going to. But that's the truth, and that's what I've come to realise. You're looking at things through adult eyes now, and not through such a lens of trauma. Because at the time, like,
they just care about emotions. That's all kids care about.
Yeah.
They don't know the narrative behind the story.
No.
Do you know what I mean? If they're there with their father, getting a relationship, whether it's you're doing it weekly, monthly, or whatever, they've still got that relationship. You don't want your kids, if your ex-fella come out of prison 8 years, they don't even know their dad.
Yeah.
They don't know what his eye colour is. They don't know how his mannerisms are, his personality. Do you know what I mean? Like that. So massive respect for doing that. Like.
Yeah. Well.
Yeah.
I tried. And but and there's a cultural piece in there as well. Like, my children are Black as well, so there's a piece. There's a number of different things that for me were and are still really astutely important.
So let's dive into that. So why are they important to you?
Because it's about identity.
Okay.
About identity. And then I think if I look back at my own story, and this is what I've been going through in therapy recently, and realising, I think, especially as a woman, and I can only speak for myself, I know I think men have maybe a different experience of this, but I do think when you have a really present father who is supporting you with self-worth and value,
of course.
I think the decisions that you make as a woman, particularly in relationships, and the things that you would stand for are very different.
Yeah.
And for my own children and my own daughters, they're very beautiful girls. You know, there's a reality. They cannot date till they're 18. Let's make that very clear. But there's a reality.
That's signed contract.
That's 1 million. I do a lot of jokes around that. I won't do the jokes here. But
honestly, say what you want. Yeah.
But that's super, super important, you know, to me, that they make these really wise decisions, and that it's very easy, I think, that when you've either been in circumstances that can question your self-worth, being in relationships that you know, look, can be controlling, can be abusive, can be all those things. It chips away at you, and you think that actually what you deserve is not what you absolutely deserve. And in love, I've come to realise what love really is, and it's certainly not possessiveness.
No, not at all.
It's actually quite the opposite of that. I think there's a beautiful Buddha quote, and I was saying it to my friend earlier, and it's like, you know, actually love is not picking the flowers, it's about watering them, and it's about cultivating them, it's about being really delicate with them. Exactly, and these are the things I'm only learning now at this point in my life, mid-30s.
It's all about planting the seeds at the right time as well.
Planting the seeds, 100%. And it's not that the intention's not there, by the way. It's that sometimes we just don't know these things.
We're just
we may or haven't received, we're navigating.
Yeah, exactly. Do you know what I mean? I think it's the hardest thing as a parent, like coming from my background of being in the care system, being on the streets. My dad was never present. Do you know what I mean? My mum was an alcoholic, abusive, amazing mum, Italian, fiery. She absolutely, she absolutely I was her baby boy. Do you know what I mean? And it killed her, obviously, us being in the care system, but she had no control over her mental health. And like, I think being without a father, I've had to learn how to tie my own shoelaces and be like that. And but it's always in the back of your mind, the self-worth. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? It's just like, well, why didn't you have another family like your dad did? Yeah. Mine had another family.
There's a massive rejection there. I've only come to realise that now in life.
Yeah.
Well, it feels that way for me anyway.
Yeah, but it goes through anything, whether it's relationships or friendships. I'm just like, I used to be like it years ago, where if a friend didn't speak to me for 2 weeks, what have I done?
Yeah, 100%.
Do you know what I mean?
You could raise your voice now, and I'm like,
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
What's going? And they're the trauma responses.
I don't do that now. I have.
Please don't. He whispers. But they're the trauma responses. Like they're for real. They seriously are, and you can't kind of do that work and have that understanding of things until I think you get to a certain place, or you're not in them circumstances. Yeah. And you're like, actually, that's really not normal. That I'm literally walking on edges, on eggshells. Sorry, you know.
So through your therapy, this is a thing that I've been not taught through therapy, but I've kind of learnt myself is you do not get over fucking anything in life. Yeah. You just learn to cope with it. Yeah. Whether that's trigger points or coping mechanisms, how you deal with it. Because it can be anything. For instance, my tours of Afghan that I did, when I see Mountain Dew, I get hairs. Because that's the only thing. And I remember one of my mates being killed that day when I seen them out. Stuff like that. You don't realise it's always here. It's always there. Yeah. And we always think of it as being just head up. Yeah. It's head down to 100%.
And the heart, everything. The heart, actually, the energy of the heart, it reaches further than the mind.
100%,
which is insane. And I agree.
You can pick up the heat of sensors and radars.
You feel it, 100 mil. And I totally hear you. Interestingly, I went yesterday back to where I used to live with when my children were first born. Thank you. Yeah. And then I could feel I got into the car. And I'm like breathing. I was like, breathe it through, Scarlett, breathe it through. And yet you think you're in a certain place, and exactly as you've said, yours is a way more extreme, but it's still like a PTSD thing.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, which is the same here. And again,
with PTSD, what you're saying with there though.
Yeah.
So many people think it's just military.
No. It's a lot in domestic abuse.
Massively
in domestic abuse. And when I say domestic abuse, I mean, it can be in lots of circumstances, but when I say that, like, it can be that can be a mother-daughter relationship, even a father-son relationship. We're not just always talking about romantically. You know, but
it's just something that's made you snap. And then it's something that's hurt you physically and mentally.
Yeah,
and
that was too much. It was too much for you to deal with. Yeah. But when you go back in therapy, and look, I'm no expert, you know, but I'm just here for it.
I don't think anyone's an expert in life. We're all just learning, man.
We're just learning. It's a journey. And I think what I've realised now is there's no right or wrong, exactly what you said. There might not actually be a full healing of something. It's all these things that make you, but there's an acknowledgement. And my new kind of thing is, oh, isn't that interesting? That when I went back there yesterday, it made me breathe like this. Yeah. Okay, so what we're feeling, how does that feel?
Self-awareness.
Yeah. What does that feel? Let's feel it, because what we're trying to do is connect the emotion back to the actual, like, back to self.
Because we lie to ourselves.
Oh my God, dissonance is real. When I say I live in a role play world of Scarlet Land of self-belief, like like, you know, I really, honestly, and I think that's how I've got to where I've got to. I'm like, okay, this is what we're going to do. But then there has to be points where you really face that reality. And let's be honest, lots of people, and I've been there as well, they're avoidance, they run away, because to face some of those things is too much to deal with. And that's okay too.
Yeah, I think so. But then I think you're stunting your growth.
For now.
Yeah, exactly. If you're never going to deal with it, it's always going to burden you. And we're not here. There's a thing I do. I've got 2 little French bulldogs, and I take them out for walk for most nights. I go up to the graveyard, and there's always like a spot, and I literally lie next to these graveyard. So I lie in the middle, and just try and get gratitude, because we're not here for a fucking long time at all. And there was a video I was watching TikTok the other day. I think the guy was 90, and the nurse and the doctor came in and said, "Look, you've only got a couple of weeks to live through this tumor." And he took it absolutely brave. He said, "I had a 90th birthday. It was amazing. I'm done now." And I'm just like, that's not far away from my age. Like, I'm 70, so I'm 34 now.
I was like, you're 70?
I'm not that old, but I'm saying, but I'm
you
saying,
are looking amazing.
Skin cream, yeah.
Wow.
But I'm just like, I'm 34.
Yeah.
Double that. I'm nearly 70. Like 70.
Yeah.
I've not got long left on this earth. And just sitting there and reminiscing of all the people that have been in that graveyard. Some people are 6 years old, 70 years old.
Yeah.
You don't know when your time's up.
No, you don't.
And I think you need to. I think so many people lay back in life and sit back and just say, "Oh, I'll do it tomorrow, or I'll do this tomorrow."
Yeah.
You ain't got fucking tomorrow. You need to do the best you can today, so you can obviously survive the next day, kind of thing. And obviously, I've done my research on you, with your business and stuff like that. You've just excelled. Obviously, from 2019, you should have won.
Oh, thank you.
I literally,
it's a favourite quote that is. I'm like, it's fine. I leave it in God's hands. Like, I'm good.
But I rewatched it the other day in that, and
did you?
Yeah. I like doing a little bit of research because I don't want to just come in. But honestly, it's amazing. Obviously, but everything happens for a reason.
It 100% does.
Because now, obviously, you are in business.
I'm a business with sugar and Lord Sugar, sorry, because he'll tell me off. And you know what? I've worked so damn hard even to get to that point.
But how mad's that?
Yeah, it is kind of insane. And what's even more mad, and Lord Sugar's probably going to go, Scarlett, I'm going to be in big trouble now. But what's more mad is that I've worked so hard to get that investment, especially as a female founder, especially ethnic minority. I think it's less than 2% of us actually get investment in business in the UK. So I'm so passionate about, again, changing that narrative. And now I'm thinking, okay, do we want to scale this business? Do we want different investment? Do we want to scale this together? How do we do this with Lord Sugar? I'm thinking about, I hope to continue with him, to be clear, but I'm thinking about all of those things, because you're onto kind of the next, okay, what do we want to do now? How do we go about doing that now? Which is so exciting.
Because you don't want to be put into one box.
No, I don't. And you know what, boxes and rules, they don't suit me well.
Yeah, of course, yeah. They shouldn't do. They're only made by the government, so.
Indeed. I was listening to TD Jakes this morning, and I don't know if you familiar with him, and he was talking about disruption. And it was really, really good. And he was talking about the lines that we create for ourselves and the lines that people create for us, and how do we disrupt those?
Yeah, exactly.
And I'm here for the disruption.
Even from the school system. When you realise when you're older, you're literally just on a conveyor belt. You do the same thing. You're there from 9 to 5. Get out, lunch, piss. Sometimes
most people are there till 9 till 3. You must have had some extended
I was naughty.
Detention.
No, I just didn't have a home to go to. I'm like, can I stay at school? I don't know where to go. But that same narrative, like, I always thought I was a failure at school, being dyslexic. Now I have an ADHD and EUPD, like an emotionality disorder, and because I can't regulate my emotions that well. But
that would kind of make sense as well, I think.
Because it makes sense, but that's for me to deal with. Yeah. Do you know what I mean?
And look at that accountability. It's that accountability right there. And you know, been doing a lot. There's a couple of things that interest me. So one is about trauma and success. Yeah. There's this definite kind of correlation between 100%. People that have had very traumatic maybe times and then real kind of delve deep for success. Yeah. I'm really interested in that work. There was another one and I've now forgotten it.
Come on, remember it.
Oh God, my subconscious mind is going crazy. It'll come back to me. But yeah, no, it is a really interesting work. Oh, second piece, toxicity.
Yeah.
Toxicity.
So talk a bit about that.
I personally, both in business and in personal life, I think probably because of self-worth and people pleasing. I don't know if you can relate to the people 100%. Pleasing. Woo.
That's why I fucked up most of my life.
You've been losing yourself out there. And I've realised that actually attracts and can attract a real toxicity around you and toxicness in other people. And I think the key way to kind of break that is obviously doing the work that we're talking about, but is accountability.
100%.
And there has to be a point where you're going, he did this, and so-and-so put me through it. And it's like, no.
Yeah.
I put myself in a circumstance for whatever reason that was that created this narrative for myself.
You teach people how to treat you in life.
100%.
A lot of things.
100%. And in business, that is so important as well. Then boundaries are real.
As obviously, especially coming from your background and being a woman in a high profile, obviously, business. How have you found that trying to get into business? What was the biggest hurdle for you at the start? Because I know you've been relentless. Obviously, I've watched Apprentice a little bit before that.
Thank you.
You were relentless.
Yeah.
And you probably cried after every episode, probably. Maybe, because it seemed very freaking high stress.
Do you know, being really honest with you?
Yeah.
Compared to what I went through.
Yeah.
That Apprentice.
Nothing. I love that.
Being honest. There was other candidates in there crying, and I'm thinking, the only time that I felt upset was when I was asked about my personal circumstances, and at that point, trigger point, and I've not told anybody, like outside of immediate. My uncle didn't even know my children's dad was in prison for 2 years. Really? No one knew. No. Until it was on the news, unfortunately, then it kind of came out. But and everything was kept like inwards, and I'd lived a life going through corporate with carrying all of this. I didn't even talk about having children for the first couple of years of working in corporate.
Oh, really? Yeah. Why though?
Because there was hardly any women there, and there certainly wasn't going to be any women. Ethnic minority. It just so happens you've just come out of uni. I came out of supported accommodation. I've got these 2 children as well.
I get what you're saying. Yeah. Because they're going to think to you, you're going to be more of a burden because maybe paternity leave, your kids are sick, your kids going to school, you can do this time.
You're trying to fit in.
Yeah, of course.
You're trying to fit in. I'm trying to fit in. I'm trying to do well. And how can you relate? Yeah. I mean, you could probably relate to me, but how could so and so relate to me? That's being out all night drinking, and he's coming in, and and I'm being up all night feeding children. I can't relate. Yeah. We can't relate, and I want to fit in, and I want to do really well. And I already look different to you.
Yeah.
I haven't been to uni. So I'm already, my background is different. I did college for 3 weeks. It's different.
Of course, yeah.
So.
And you feel like you have to obviously you have to achieve more to get more.
100%.
But when you haven't come through that normal background of college, university, got them degrees, you feel less of a person being around them.
You can do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? You feel like you have to fight with it, but if you've come from where you've come from, you will have way more
self-validation, maybe.
Yeah, do you know what I mean? Like you should be there. Like, you're changing a narrative. Do you know what I mean? They're just a fucking person in a suit.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
And there's some great people in them suits. To be
100%.
It's just so we want everyone to be wherever they want to be.
Exactly. Yeah, but it's when other people come in because they try and see you do good. They try and stomp on your.
Oh yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Your growth. Have you had that?
So actually, to be fair, I have to say I've had so much support. The thing that I've probably found the most, particularly when working with male clients and counterparts, more so in the past, not now, would be people sort of not taking you so seriously. So just thinking, just see some young girl coming in and you're tottering in your heels, and they're thinking, do you know what you're talking about? So then you have to make sure they're taking you seriously very quickly, and
But imagine you turned up in tracksuit.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? But you still did the same shit. Yeah. You have to be a certain way, you have to feel a certain way, and affirmations and actually doing it. Like I've done it where I've wanted a car, I've gone to the lot, I can't afford it yet. I've gone there, sat in it. 2 years later, I'm in that fucking car. Yeah, you have to imagine. You have to be the person. Do you know what I mean?
100%. Yeah, you really, really do. So yeah, I think I found that. And then the other thing, navigating, especially like a woman in business, is you are navigating attention sometimes from men.
Yeah,
do they take you seriously? Are they thinking that you sort of, they're trying to date you or whatever? Particularly in earlier parts of my career, I've probably shut things down now, but in earlier parts of my career, and that's me being really honest with you, and I won't just be one person saying that.
This is about obviously men and women, whether it's in an environment or just normal. Do you think men and women can be friends?
No.
Thank you.
I think that someone always likes someone.
Yeah.
I was having this conversation at home. I think that they can.
Maybe from a woman's perspective, there may be no intention.
Yeah, I think that they can. And I think it depends how close they are. So I've got associates. Yeah. You're right, you're cool. Yeah. Are you phoning me? Yeah. And am I hearing about your mum's
Yeah.
Now, people would say different things. I personally feel, and my experience has been, somebody likes someone. And all of a sudden, when there's an opportunity, it's like, da-da-da-da.
Exactly.
And that's my honest thoughts.
It's like,
I think from from a close perspective, to be clear, I think further away, potentially for sure, but closer, nah. I think there is.
You hear it a lot where people are just like, how did you meet? Oh, we've been friends for 15 years. Yeah. That guy's been wanting to get 100%. With you
or
the
for
woman, years.
Or the woman. Don't get me wrong. I really believe that. I do.
Yeah.
I do. So I think you've got to be really careful about navigating those kind of friendships.
100%. It's either your friendships, you're there to help each other, or there's an intention there at the start. And I think you can kind of gather that from energy. That's what I pick up. Like, I don't really have any girl mates, you know what I mean, that associates like I'd speak to and stuff like that, but I'll always try and help anyone I can.
Yeah.
And I think that's something I've learned in the last couple of years. I need to stop doing so much because I've helped so many people.
So why are you helping so many people?
Because what I've been through. This is me interviewing you. Stop interviewing me.
Sorry.
Therapy session 1.
It's a therapy. No, I just wondered.
But it is, no.
I wondered because I could be like that. That's why I was asking you.
Why I help people is because I know what it's like to have no one, no money, no food, no wisdom, no father, no mother, no one to even speak to. Do you know what I mean? And some people reach out to me on my social medias as like a last point. I get so many suicide messages or constantly, and it's just like, I had one just before I came in here, like, and I've got my mate, I'm literally just about to do something, I'll ring you straight out. I don't know the kid. Do you know what I mean? You get to the point where it's trying to help people, but where can I be that point? And that's what I'm trying to work on now myself, is where I can be a therapist, where I can do CBT and I can do like stuff like that. So if someone do contact me,
and you know what, you've got to be really careful of yourself as well.
100%,
because that's a very difficult circumstance. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
You know, I know the story as well.
Yeah.
You know that conversation could turn someone's life around truly, or save someone's life. I do understand that, but I do think there's a part where you have to say you're one person.
100%.
You know, you're one person, and I think I've done a lot in domestic abuse. I'm an ambassador for a charity. I'm very, very passionate about it.
There's a couple you're an ambassador for, isn't there?
Yeah, there is. Yeah, so, but the main one is We Are, which is in King's Heath in Birmingham, actually.
Yeah.
And I've been through all of their programs, and they are absolutely phenomenal. And they've changed my life. Domestic abuse. Yeah. And they've changed my life. My daughter's been through a couple of programs too. Changed my whole life. And but I've realised that you can be in that not that environment specifically, but you can be in environments where you're constantly hearing stories of I went to this refuge and I did this and I did that and this happened and that happened and this person's a narcissist and that you know, all of these words, all of these things we hear. And I get it. But then I have to think what's good for me, because you keep reliving the trauma, and that's probably not great. And that's why I'm really interested in, okay, and how can we propel on the back of whatever's been experienced, this part, that elevation part, that's the bit I'm really interested in. And
has that helped your mindset from obviously through business to therapy? Because that's what I'm kind of listening to, so obviously what you've learned in business, there's always a solution, not a problem. I think that's how you're looking at therapy, which is a great way, because I think a lot of people
and everything's okay. What I finally realised was the things that I'd run away from that felt overwhelming, that I held a lot of shame for a long time. You've lived a certain lifestyle, there's certain rules, there's certain expectations. When you're not adhering to all of those expectations,
imposter syndrome a lot.
And when you're not adhering to all of those things, then there can be a shame, a guilt, a feeling of worthlessness. And I've realised, I think in therapy and in general, and I think with some age as well, that's okay. That's okay. It's all right if I feel a bit ashamed about that. And you know what? It's all right if I didn't make a wise decision there. And it's okay if I made a really wise decision there. Because life's sticky. And actually, if it was just all straightforward, what a boring life that would probably be.
100%.
You know what I mean? And you really need to lean into all of those things. You know, like, I'm a God person, and I think that if you've been put through these mad trials and tribulations, it's because you're made for great things. So do you know what? Thank you so much.
You
might not feel it at the time. Thank you so much for that. Thank you so much for that. And on the back of it, this is what I'm, full of purpose for. You know, and you clearly are. Yeah,
you have to go through stuff in life. I actually see my nephew. He is older than me. 2 years older than me. He's homeless.
Okay.
I was coming out of the gym from boxing. I was coming across the road, and he just said, "Man, I ain't seen this kid for freaking years." And it put it in perspective for me. Like, great job. So I gave him money. Like, look, do you need help? And that he weren't really, but I think he's more ashamed of the thing. But we lived the same life.
Exactly.
He lived at my mum's and stuff like that. Lived exactly the same life. But I came homeless quite quick, and I think what he said to me was just like, no one wants to help me no more. That's not a question, bro. But it's not a question you need to ask. You need to know how to help yourself.
Yeah.
No one's going to fucking help you in life.
Or know that you need help.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's always good to speak to someone. But if you're not using that as a direction for action, there's no point speaking about it.
And this is going to sound a bit harsh, what I'm going to say now.
Say it. Yeah.
There's a victim mentality.
Massively, yeah.
And you're not going to progress forwards with a victim mentality. And I'm not talking about him specifically. I'm talking about one that I've had. You might have had.
But that is him, though. Yeah.
We've been there, and it's like, well, there's no one to help me. What about? You're going to have to work it out. You know, you're going to have to work it out, because there is help. There is options. There is different things. It's whether we want to do.
You just become angry at the world.
Yeah.
And that's what I was at that point, of where I was that victim mentality where this happened to me.
I've been through all these things.
Yeah, just not become very.
And that's the trauma. That is trauma.
100%.
1,000,000%. It draws you back, and then you have to kind of do a stake in the sand and think, actually, I can keep reliving that, or I can go forwards.
Yeah.
And that's the decision that I've made very recently, honestly, over the last so many months.
Yeah.
And it's still difficult because boy, there's a comfortability in the dysfunction.
Yeah.
Don't you know it? When you're used to dysfunction, it's so comfortable.
Yeah.
When you start to step into a place that's not dysfunctional, it's like, oh,
your comfort zone.
Well, this is very confronting.
Yeah.
Oh, these are decisions that I've made. Why? And looking at that stuff, and it's the same for business as well. Yeah,
especially I think as gradually get older as well, it helps with a fuck off mentality. In your 20s, you fuck up.
Yeah.
In your 30s, I don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
That's what I've found is I don't care what people think about me. I don't care if I'm not driving that car that he don't like. That self kind of image of just I need to be a certain way so people see me a certain way. And I see a lot of people through social media have to be that way.
Oh yeah.
And people say it about my but I'm just sat in my car.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
How do you find that? Do you mind me asking? I didn't have socials for so many years. I didn't have anything. I didn't even have a WhatsApp picture. It was serious.
I'm personal. I don't like
so
camera.
Yeah. So how did you find? I've only had socials the last 4 years.
Yeah.
So that's been an interesting world that I wasn't even used to at all.
Yeah.
How you're much more present than I. How do you?
I try to be. It started from doing a course. So I did a course called Tell the World, and that was about public speaking and being your own boss in your own business, whatever it was, to be public speaking, because everyone needs to be a public speaker at some point.
Yeah.
At certain points. And I did this course and I told my story, and that's where it just leapt off. So I told my story, got a bit of a backstory from it, and my mentor at the time said to me, look, you need to start doing videos on social media. You could help millions of people through it. And from that, literally I did my first video about suicide, what I went through, and it kind of cemented when one of my friends, he messaged me out of the blue and was very open with me, very happy, and it just wasn't, I knew something was up because he's ex-military. It didn't, just something didn't feel right from my gut. I was like, mate, just fucking call me. So we called, spoke about it, and he was literally going to commit suicide just before he seen that video. And that was like, yeah, I need to keep doing those videos. And it snowballed after that, and literally every video just getting more and more views. But I got into that trap of the algorithms, trying to post this on this and stuff like that. Realistically, just post. Yeah, and I fucking burnt myself out. I was doing 2 videos a day for nearly a year.
Yeah, that's.
Do you know what I mean? About mental health and struggles and trauma, and it's just I got to a point, fucking hell.
You're like, hold on a minute.
I'm fucked. I was just I had to take a little bit of a break, had to come off it. But then you see your followers decrease because you're not posting.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
But I'm grateful for that, because you ain't my people.
Yeah.
Get the fuck off my social media.
But isn't that where the strength is? That's where the solidarity and character and purpose and mission come. That is where it comes from.
And that's where it's cemented for me from doing the videos. I do it probably 3-4 times a week now, and this is why I'm going to do the podcast, so I can not just help from my story, because my story is just a chapter in my life, but you're going to help millions of people. Other people are going to help millions of people, and this is why I've started the podcast.
Yeah, amazing.
I know, amazing. So, how was your kind of into social media? Because you said you only been in it for 4 years. Did you feel that you had to do it? Because realistically, you do for business.
Yeah. I felt like I'd lived in a house with curtains closed. To come out and be on socials, I've lived really in hiding really for a long time. So to come out on socials, to be doing all that kind of stuff, has been really, really scary. and really confronting.
Have you got to know yourself a little bit more?
Yeah, now I have.
Have to develop a little bit.
Now I have, and I still struggle with it. I don't post very often. I will only post.
I've noticed that. No,
I'll post on stories if I want to, and it's hopefully where it's something maybe interesting or it's some kind of value to people.
People watch your stories more than they like your photos anyway.
Yeah, 100%.
It's that mentality.
They do. It's so
you put the same photo up, you get a million fucking people looking at it, and people like it.
And then lots of people message you on the back of it, and you're like, oh, no comments on the post, but like there's loads. Okay, thanks. But it doesn't, whatever. But then what are we chasing? Exactly, and that's the question. That's a validation piece.
Constantly.
Dopamine, and you've got to be so careful of it. And I realise with myself, I have to be careful of that.
And where you get it from?
Well, yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Where you get it from. So not just socials, or even for me, like the kind of relationship, that I choose or whatever. Because when you're on something that's like this constantly, all the time, you are constantly on
up and down.
It is like, I mean, I've never taken drugs in my life, but it's like being on cocaine. Like the research shows that. So then when you come out of that, or you're in something that's actually super healthy. Whoa.
It's hard to regulate because I've got ADHD.
Yeah.
To try and regulate my dopamine and searching levels, or like cortisol levels and stuff like that. I was just a constant people pleaser because I was like me. Do you know what I mean? And I felt that was getting to my social media. I'm like, fuck this, I just can't be arsed with it. Like,
and I don't know if I'm not quite there yet. Regards that,
as in
the complete authenticity. Like, it's me being completely authentic, and some days I'm completely authentic on there, and some days no. I would say it's more like, well, people are asking you this or sending you that, and you're like, oh, okay, because there's still a piece around identity, and I don't know if you can relate to that. I think that when you've had a certain journey, and ours are very different, but you've had a certain journey, there can be a loss of identity when there's a lot of people pleasing all the time. And it's really interesting because we have different parts of us, right? So in business, I'm very clear with that. If you ask me what my terms at Harper Fox Partners are, I'm going to tell you my terms at Harper Fox Partners. If you ask me how much it costs for me to speak, I'm thinking, I don't know, or I could drop my price, or I could go higher. Should I go higher? Or I'm not sure if I'm worth it. Why? Because then that's a Scarlett Lily thing.
I have that narrative though.
Yeah, it's a Scarlett thing.
I just say I do it for free.
Yeah, well, let me tell you, I've been doing it for free for quite a long time, and I've realised that it's a self-worth thing, and it's stupidity. So unless you're doing something, don't get me wrong, that's something you're really passionate about.
Yeah, of course,
something where you're giving back. I would do charity stuff and things like that, 100% all day long. But if not, there has to be, look, I'm all about purpose, passion and profit.
100%.
There has to be profit, because without the profit, who are you impacting?
Exactly.
Because you're not going to be living on the streets no more. I'm not going to be living in a supported, bedsit anymore. So I need to work out how I always feel like the people that have got like the greatest hearts and that want to make the greatest impact are the ones that should actually have the most money to be able to do that.
100%.
So that should be kind of the mindset, but that's a switching mindset for me, and that's one that I'm just working through now. And I've been planning on launching my own brand. It's gone on for 6 months for exactly this reason. I'm like, people ask me about mentoring and coaching all the time. I do all this leadership exec coaching all the time, scaling businesses from 6 to 7 figures, like that's my thing. And I'm still like,
because it's very personal to you, do you think?
Yeah, it's personal. And I sit there and I think, and then I look at, and again, I'm here for elevation. I look at maybe some of the potential competition, and I think, well, they've never actually even done that. And they're commanding all sorts.
I was watching a podcast actually, one of my mates' podcasts. This guy he interviewed, amazing guy. Like, I just connected with him straight away. Don't know him, haven't spoke to him.
Yeah.
But he's earning like 6 figures, doing what I should be doing. And I have a story, and I know I can do better. I'm just like, I messaged my mate who does a podcast, mate, like, I need to meet this guy.
There you go, absolutely.
Do you know what I mean? I need to meet this guy because if he can get where he is, with not really achieving anything beforehand, what the fuck am I doing in my life? I'm 34. Do you know what I mean? So it's gave me a little bit of, that's why I love podcasts. I listen to them every day. Same. 2-3 a day if I can. You never know who you're going to learn from.
100%.
And it's a complete viral.
It's like a book all the time.
Yeah, exactly. You can learn anything from nutrition, for vaccines, from this and that, and you just open your broad mind, and you can put that into your business. There's some ideas from, like, Professor Green. I love him.
Yeah.
Like, his backstory is amazing.
It is, yeah.
And do you know what I mean?
And his brand that he's built, and
it's amazing. Like, and his team meshes me to do a goal because I suffer with IBS. And I've always had that vision of working with Professor Green, and he followed me on TikTok and messaged me. I was like, bro, like this is fucking mad. But you just never know. Like I think he's very like original and authentic.
Super authentic. Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? He's never been anything else but him.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So with business with you at the minute, what's the prospects going forward? What have you got going on?
Plan for me is that we scale the business that we've got at the moment. I want to scale that, probably to sell that, but scale that. Yeah, in the next sort of 5 to 7 years, I think that's what we want to do. I want my team to do really well on the back of it. Yeah. We do so much in inclusion, diversity, like that is what we do. So
that's your end goal, is to sell the business?
I think so.
Yeah.
I say that and it's my baby. I think so. I think so. To make waves. That's like more of a, to make waves. But ultimately to kind of like spearhead that whole inclusion piece. For me, it's about boardrooms being reflective of the actual society that we live within. That's not the case at the moment. So that's the purpose there and the mission. But I think that's kind of what my gut is.
Is that just your plan A? Have you got a plan B for it, or?
Plan B is that it will run and I'll be a shareholder long term, but probably not as because actually, and I'm so passionate about our business. Don't get me wrong, I live and breathe it. But I'm really passionate about the sort of stuff that we're talking about today. And it's something you said earlier, and it reminded me of it. Like, we're in the best position to help the person that we used to be. So I'm just trying to fathom out that part, and I think that's going to come from our own brand stuff, and I think that is going to come from mentoring, coaching, maybe even podcasting. I like the idea of creating, this sounds really random, but I like the idea of almost creating film. I'm really interested in stories, people's stories, and you touched on it's like I'm deeply interested in people's stories for the learning point that you said. So I kind of feel gut-wise it will go down that sort of route. But it's always going to be, I think for me, around, people. I'm so passionate about women. I'm passionate about minorities, And so I suspect it'll be those kind of things. But that's what I'm just trying to unfold and understand.
I think it's kind of hard to find as well, to make the right amount of money for your purpose. Like, I think what you're doing for the business, obviously your baby and you love it.
That feels this.
But that feels 100%. Your purpose. Like, I do different businesses, whether it's property, my medical stuff and stuff like that. So I can fund stuff like this. And I can fund other stuff. Like, I want to be selling out arenas, like talking about mental health and suicide prevention.
I see it.
100%. I'll be there at some point. I don't know when it could be. 2 weeks, maybe.
It might be sooner than it might be sooner than what you think.
You
talk
never know.
These things and you're like, what happened? It's like, then you have to ask them, are you ready for it? You're ready for it.
Exactly. Like the last 32 years of my life, it says I was just drifting. Obviously, I was in the army for 8 years and drifting and drifting. The last 2 years have just completely changed. In 2 years, I've made tenfold more money. I've connected with so many more people because I just don't give a fuck what people think. I can afford it. If you fit with me or you connect with me, it's fine.
If you don't mind me asking.
Yeah, the fuck you moment kind of thing.
What was the
people pleasing?
And was there a specific moment, or you just thought, something just started to shift and change, or was there a specific?
It was my kids, really.
It was.
It was my kids. It was just like, I've got to stop fucking with other people. The kids need to be a priority. Any second I get, I will make time to try and be with them. Like, I want to be the father where, if Story or Navy say to me when they're 3-4 years old, I want to go to Thailand. Right, pack your kit, we'll go tomorrow. I'll pay the fine at school. I couldn't care. I'll take my kids away. It's more important.
I did do that last year. I'm not gonna lie.
But I think that's a big thing with kids. Like,
it was an education.
Exactly. Like what?
And there's family and all that stuff.
Exactly. I think that's way more important. Like, what kid? I never had that. No, if I can go take my kid on 2-3 holidays a year or whenever he says,
it's insane.
I'll pay the fine. Give a shit. Fine me. I'll make more money to pay the fine. Do you know, I'll take my kid out of school. I don't care.
It's the rebel talk. Unfortunately, you're talking to another one, so I'm like, oh.
But I think it's the best mentality. Like, you see kids go through life with no life experience. There's kids these days, 19, 20, 22, 24, no life experience. I'm just like, and they still don't know where they're going in life. Do you know what I mean? You need to have struggles to get strength through life.
And hallelujah. And also you need to see different things.
100%.
So as much as my girls have been back and forth to prisons their whole early life, they also now live in an area. We haven't got one of these houses, by the way. not yet. But we live in an area that's very close. It's very affluent. And some of the houses are insane. Like, sometimes I think I have to pay a ticket to get into some of her friends, like their friends' houses. I'm like, this is crazy. But we're in the middle. But they see that. They also know that. They also know this. They know that. Because they understand all spectrums of life. And to a degree, obviously, they've got so much more but that's so important to me too.
Yeah. I love that. So I've got some questions for you.
Yeah.
So
shoot.
To wrap this up, let's have a look. You're going to have to give me a number though. I'm going to tell you what the numbers are.
Okay, cool.
And you've got to be honest.
I will be.
So we've got questions from 1 to 15. You pick a number and I'm going to tell you it.
All right, 3.
That was quick.
Let's go.
I don't think it's even questions even good for you. How did you meet your spouse or significant other? Should we do another question?
Give me another question. I'll let you know the wedding story soon. Next.
That question was made for you. So next number.
4.
4. What's the biggest failure and what did you learn from that experience?
MF. I don't want to I don't want to swear.
It could be anything, whether it's life, business. But business, I'm going to teach you about life, so it's a bit of a...
I felt like the biggest failure that I've had in my life is not having a family unit with my girls and their dad.
Really?
Yeah. I'm hoping that we'll see in time for all of us that that's a blessing. But
that's not your failure, though.
Oh, it's felt like it was going to make me emotional.
But you've took that guilt on, kind of thing. Yeah. It's all you can do as a parent, really, is give.
Yeah, everything. You have to help me now.
No, you're doing amazing. This is what you need. This is a key point. These questions.
Yeah.
I don't know. The universe has told me to tell you this question. That's what I fully believe in, and this is something you need to know with your emotions. Go back and think to yourself, right? Why was I feeling that emotion? You ain't a failure.
Yeah, but that is the hard one. Thank you. But that's what you want. That you want what you haven't had for your children.
Of course,
you know what I mean. So
you feel like a fuck up. You feel like
100%. 100%. I know I definitely have got my part to play in that. To be very clear, so 100 million %. But yeah, I would say honestly, at this point in my life, that's how I feel.
Yeah.
In terms of biggest failure. Yeah.
I appreciate it.
That's all right.
And another number.
Oh wow, 8.
8.
Big 8.
How would your parents describe what you do? And would they be happy about it?
Yeah, I think they'd be very. I think my mum would be very proud. I think she said, I could be a little bit.
Think or no? 2 different things.
Wow, you're better than my therapist. I hope actually.
Think or come on. Think or no?
I know she would be very proud. Yeah, I hope so. I think so. I hope. No, I know.
You had that conversation?
Yeah, my mum would say she's proud. So yeah, I know that she would be very proud. I think she'd say I'm a bit of a force to be reckoned with at times.
Love that, yeah.
And I think she'd say I've made some really poor choices that have impacted my life too.
All make better though, don't they?
And absolutely, and to make sure I make great choices moving forward.
Yeah. So
13. Is there another one?
So 1 to 5.
Oh, okay. Wow. Okay. A 3.
3.
Yeah.
So let's have a look. What 3 books would you recommend to my audience that are watching?
Oh wow, 3 is like a lot. Do you know? I'm a real podcast kind of motivational speaker queen.
We've got a podcast book then.
I'm gonna go both.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna go. I would 100% listen to Tom Bilyeu.
Yeah.
I absolutely think he's amazing.
Yeah.
I can't
Straight
remember
to the point.
Impact theory.
Yeah.
I'm really into the neuroscience, and I'm here for that, and changing the way that the mind thinks and controlling.
You can change anything with your mind.
Insane. A book that I read most recently, and I've preached about it, but it's so good, is Believe It by Jamie Lynn Kerr. So she built out a business from 0 to $1 billion, sold it to L'Oreal. So she didn't look like the conventional kind of makeup person, rosacea, but her story is phenomenal.
I'll have to do that.
1,000,000%. Yeah. Have a read of that. And my other fave to listen to, I can't lie, is TD Jakes. I'm here for TD Jakes all day long. And he's a god guy, but actually aside from that, he's actually a phenomenal entrepreneur and businessman. So I'm here to listen to what he says. And he talks about home. I've been listening to a lot of his stuff about really building home, and that's something that I've been looking into a lot recently.
There's a picture of that. Was an amazing quote. You have 2 chances of a family. The one you're born into and the one you make.
Yeah.
That was powerful, and that
Well, for you specifically, I would imagine.
Oh, massively, yeah.
It's so powerful, and yeah, my girls are my team. We're a team, you know, 100, and they're amazing. Like they're amazing. Yeah.
That's beautiful to hear, man.
Thank you.
So, just wrapping this up, obviously, massively appreciate it for coming along.
No, it's a pleasure.
Like, you're smashing it in business, life, and obviously your kids are going to be proud of you, your family are going to be proud of you.
Thank you.
So just keep doing what you're doing. Hopefully one day.
Likewise.
Thinking of no, and I keep saying hope. But
not hopefully. You know this.
Exactly, yeah. So, to my listeners, where can they find you on social media? If they wanted to reach out to you or anything like that?
Yeah, so Instagram, LinkedIn, Scarlett Horton, I think is the handle. And then I'm about to launch Scarlett Lily. It'll be scarlett-lily.com.
What's the kind of big plan behind that? What's your passion behind that?
It's going to be around all the things that we talked about.
Yeah?
Yeah, all the things we talked about. Purpose, passion, profit, scaling business, 6 to 7 figures, all the ambassadorship stuff. So just bringing real value.
And is that coming this year?
It's coming this year.
I fucking can't wait for
that.
Soon. Yes, man. So, guys, thank you for joining me again on my podcast. And thank you to Scarlett again.
Thank you.
Remember, always have an amazing day, have an amazing week from the Mindset Soldier.